are trying to extinguish the blaze. Reports say the fire began in a distillation unit. An Italian place in Sicily shortly. 22 years ago, a mafia splinter group strafed his car with bullets. The first global review of complementary medicines that claim to promote weight loss suggests there is insufficient evidence to justify their use. Researchers in Australia found most had little or no benefit.
50 people died in Afghanistan.
The maverick tech billionaire Elon Musk has appeared as guest host on the American TV show.
And they're going to have a bunch of people who blind in how they cook and shit in a second once they stop talking about dickhead. He is the weirdest looking motherfucker. Like, he's got a weird, he's one of those, when you're in like grade 3 and there's one of those kids in your class, you're like, we gotta kill him by the time we turn 21 or this is gonna go bad.
My name's Simon Marnie. I'm 74 years old. I'm a veteran, which means I served in the Royal Marines. I lost my sight about 5 or 6 years ago, and from about 2 years ago I basically lost all of it. And then about a year ago I lost my wife, so I had to get boss of the kitchen very quickly. So that's me.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be on the podcast with all of you. My name is Christine Ha. I'm probably best known for being the only blind contestant and the winner of season 3 of MasterChef in the US in 2012.
Hi, Christine. Hi,
Damn,
Simon.
how'd you even know they had a contest? It was on TV, right?
For about 29 years of my life. I'm totally blind and partially deaf as well. So it's been a journey of relearning how to live my life as a blind person. And my culinary exploits have actually been the highlight of my life. So that's me.
And I'm Emily Thomas, host of The Food Chain on the BBC World Service. This week, all of my guests lost their vision when they were adults.
Don't let him at me again. Follow my order.
Major cookery competitions. It hasn't always been easy, they'll tell me, and they're going to explain what some of the challenges have been.
At what point did it get easy?
Cooking with 4 senses can make a person a better cook. Simon Marnie, who you first heard, lives in Derbyshire in England and is author of the book First Catch Your Rabbit, a guide to working in the kitchen for people who are blind. Payal Kapoor is from Hyderabad, a large and, as you'll hear, busy city in southern India. She set up a YouTube channel called Rasoi Karahesa to help other people who are blind or partially sighted gain confidence in the kitchen. And Christine Ha is in Houston, Texas. As well as winning MasterChef, she's written a best-selling cookbook called Recipes from My Home Kitchen and opened a Vietnamese restaurant called The Blind Goat. Christine was born in California and her parents were Vietnamese refugees. She tells me her mother died when she was just 14.
And when she passed away, she didn't leave any recipes for me, and I never learned to cook from her. So when I was an early adult in college, I had to teach myself how to cook. And it was really a homesickness, I think, for my youth and the foods that I grew up eating and those flavors, and kind of a way to reconnect with my mom as well in spirit. And I would buy cookbooks and read recipes and then try to teach myself through a lot of trial and error and feeding my friends and my roommates.
It was around the time that you were experimenting with cooking and teaching yourself to cook that you developed a problem with your immune system and you started to lose your sight.
I heard the other thing too.
But you persevered with the cooking. Why was it so important to you to do that? Because you were dealing with a lot at that time.
That's right. I started losing my vision in my early 20s. Eventually, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called neuromyelitis optica. It's basically a chronic condition where my immune system attacks my neurological systems. And I continued to reteach myself how to cook. Like every time my vision would decrease to a new level, I would have to reteach myself to cook. But the reason I did it was because I think I've grown up always as a very independent person. And, being an only child and then losing my mom when I was young, I felt like I had to grow up pretty fast and take care of myself. And teaching myself how to cook and feed myself was really a part of that independence. I was really grasping at anything to live life as independently as I could.
Payal, you were also in your early 20s when you lost your vision. You had meningitis and you lost all your senses for a while, and your vision never came back. Cooking was already a passion for you. You were a hotel management graduate and you'd had culinary training. How long was it before you ventured back in the kitchen?
It took me at least about 6 years before I was able to muster up courage to actually venture into the kitchen to do work on the gas stove. I had been helping my mother around the house, and she handed me bowls full of vegetables and said, okay, fine, you don't need to be able to see to string beans or to peel vegetables or to cut vegetables. Muscle memory doesn't fail you there. So that's how it began. But to actually venture close to a gas stove, to light the gas stove, and to be able to work with fire was a little more daunting. And
this is nothing to being blind.
Been able to do
Your stove is incredibly
my mother
old.
was not so afraid. So that's the easiest thing to pass on, fear. It's a healthy fear, I would think. But when I went in for actual rehabilitation, I learned how to light the fire. I learned how to work with the gas cylinders, because we work with gas cylinders here. So it's a little more daunting because you have to change cylinders when they're empty and things like that. So that was it. I mean, my love for cooking, in any case, had been there, but it came back in a rush.
And how did it feel to be cooking again?
Fabulous. it was so cathartic, and the sense of pride to have not killed myself, not burnt my house down, and not done any of that was very, very cathartic. To see that I was able to cut the vegetable, I was able to cook it, I was able to do everything and put it on the table with great flourish. So it was an absolutely exhilarating feeling.
Simon, you're in your early 70s and you began to lose your vision 5 or 6 years ago. But you very quickly started working out how you would still cook. Why was culinary independence so important to you?
Well, for me, to be able to eat what you want, when you want, is a major step on the route to independence. And one of the things I found as someone newly, well, I won't say disabled because I don't consider myself disabled, but somebody with a new impediment, was that I was desperate to keep my independence. And I think the whole key to independence is actually being able to feed yourself when you want to. So you're not just sitting there like a chick on a perch waiting to be fed.
And have you always cooked, or was this something that you've learned in recent years?
Well, I think most ex-servicemen can cook. When you're crouched over a Tommy cooker in the pouring rain and you're crumbling an oatmeal biscuit into water and then thickening it with condensed milk and then slicing a Mars bar into it, and that's your breakfast. Yeah, you learn to cook.
Christine, you're now a very accomplished cook and restaurateur.
Restaurateur too, so you lost me completely on this one.
Welcome to things being done.
Why would you not just eat the cookie and the milk and the Mars? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? What are you cooking? Jesus Christ, now I'm disappointed. I went online because of that. I'm fucking disappointed.
And I read through a list and I know everything that's in my kitchen, whether it's in the pantry, freezer, the fridge. I use raised bump dot stickers on a lot of my appliances or my stove knobs. A lot of these appliances nowadays that are modern tend to come with a touch screen, which I know is, that's kind of where technology is going, but it's such a pain for visually impaired people because we need that tactile part of being able to work the machine. So I find that frustrating, but I've found some workarounds and everything's just extreme.
You tried to trick the blind people with the concentrated, made from concentrate apple juice. Why don't you put bumps on all these pieces of paper you stick on the, hey, check this one. Clear glass. I don't even need you to put a picture of what's in it because I can fucking see it. Why are you fucking using paper and glue? They can laser print right on the container. Oh, I'm completely disappointed now. Why'd I go online? Oh, so much for that.
I've actually reduced cooking to a drill, so that
Yeah,
what I'm
'cause-
doing is I'm concentrating on one thing at a time.
So all those
'Cause my
hours and
nightmare
minutes and
is
days,
that if you're moving, this feeling.
all those hours and minutes and days and years of your life wasted cooking Mars bars and milk. Like, what the fuck is wrong? Now it's just a drill.
Caleb has regained his.
Jesus, everything sucks.
Are you selling gifts? I see a lot of people are sending gifts. Well done, dude. I'm about to log off. It's time to say goodbye. I'll be live streaming 6:45.
Out of the blue and find a way, that optimism is good. But
Yeah, optimism is good, right? Because in China, it makes no difference if you're positive or negative. So fucking nothing's gonna change.
some problem coming out, and that will make you a little bit neglect the reality or some of the risks that you probably will face in the future. So you have to be prepared always. Sometimes pessimists.
Oh, and while
people,
we're so I've discovered we're getting
tend to
pinged while we're
prepare
using
more.
YouTube
You
for
know,
any purpose while we're
sometimes
logged
it's
in.
not totally a very
I'm
bad
not always
word.
logged in on YouTube.
If you think about prepare
Oh yeah,
for
Dick
the
Weevil
rainy
will
days,
not
or
leave us
prepare for
alone.
this and that, you always have to have a plan B or plan C. So this is the takeaway from the psychologists.
Says will not let go of the one that got away.
To be fast and discreet, the number to call is 647-557-8864.
You're not a part of the government. It doesn't cost anything to
I
get
live
that
with my
done.
parents,
So
so
what
my
are you
mother
sponsoring?
often cooks with me, and whoever walks into the kitchen has very, very clear instructions that they're supposed to put things back where they got them from, because otherwise then there's a huge, big fuss. I mean, I really, really kick up a fuss if that doesn't happen, because it's most annoying. You waste so much time trying
Them
to
blind
look for
people and
something.
women that are like that.
We talked
Hey,
a bit
if you're
about
too stupid to
fear
put
earlier,
things back
Kyle,
where you got them,
and
you shouldn't be
you
allowed in a
mentioned you were
kitchen.
particularly.
You know you're required to wear steel-toe boots in a kitchen, in a commercial kitchen?
Have you ever thought about...
Oh, Jesus. What the fuck is this shit, man? Oh.
With high tides, it spoils the gardens or plots of our gardens that we plant. One special taro that grows there.
If a people get right,
You went to
Taplo house and some fella second, you can buy Apuna rules. You mean no sabe you be die or you be life if I buy just talent good of beginning for stay quiet.
I can't understand it.
Why not try Dr. Les Creamer's custom-made oral appliance? It's comfortable, portable, and
That's kind of the step forward to regaining your independence in the kitchen.
Deal de drogue, hein, on parle de trafic. Est-ce que vous considérez qu'il y a un échec du tout répressif sur ce sujet? C'est un débat qui a lieu en ce moment.
Nobody can listen to you when you do that. Why are you leaning into the mic when you do that? Blow your fucking nose. Disgusting fucking white people, man. Every fucking media outlet's doing it.
Write to us. We'll respond to your letter and send you information on the council and its codes.
Write
a
them a
message
letter.
from the Canadian Association of Broadcasters and Global News Radio 640 Toronto.
it's the shift.
Good has something good for us.
In case you missed it on the radio, here's Ryan Type O'Donnell. Yeah.
That's a typo.
I am a walking, breathing typo, and I'm okay with that. Nobody's perfect, especially not me.
Have you read your very first line of your very first story?
Oh yeah, 100%. But you see, I'm immune to my own typos. I'm like Superman, and I'm even immune to my own kryptonite.
Did I just say kryptonite?
You just typoed your own word when you said it.
Wow.
Okay.
Yikes. Okay. Well, it has been a while.
Well, I noticed he fucked it up a second time trying to say it the wrong way.
It's been a while. Let's hop on Twitter, and let's get this going. It's the tweet of the day. It's been a while since I've highlighted something excellent from Twitter. If you're new to the show, this is the bit where I find something funny, thought-provoking, or just great content from Twitter and share it with you. Gentlemen, I pose you a question on this fine morning. This is from user Cool Whip. Honest answers only. What were your 5 most listened to bands or artists in high school? And don't try to be cool and say some hardcore band from Manitoba that only 3 people have heard of.
So for me, are you asking?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Of course I'm asking.
Okay. Well, I'm somewhat prepared in this, a little bit. Now, I did listen to a lot of hip hop back then. I was into really rhythmic stuff. I was into techno, all that stuff. But because you said bands artists, so I went with bands.
To what you found on
And for bands, I had a couple. I was all over Bare Naked Ladies and the Gordon album like crazy for me. Right? Makes sense?
This guy's from Flin Flon.
And this one was great.
I just don't want to hear it, that's all.
I love that.
Cool vibe.
Right? Good stuff, right? Yeah. And then there was Spin Doctors were in there too. And if you're from Saskatchewan, you absolutely know the Waltons. They're amazing. The album was Like My Tractor. Colder Than You. I'm going to do this one quickly. I'm going to skip it ahead though. Anyway, that's my high school.
Nice.
Right?
Okay. All right. Kate, the soundtrack to Shane's high school. All right, Brendan.
Okay. Early in high school, all the way through to, we had 13 grades in Ontario, but all the way through grade 12, I was like, unfortunately, no, this is the thing. I was unfortunately very new metal. Going back to our previous conversation in the show, remember how I said I bought Chocolate Starfish and could recognize it wasn't that good? So like early on
for the nookie.
Yeah. Early on, the band I like loved the most, which now when I go
could only pay attention and focus on my own cooking. And I think a lot of times you see what your neighbor's cooking or another contestant, and then you change up your game plan and what dish you end up wanting to cook halfway through the challenge, and then there's just not enough time. So for me, it was just about going into that kitchen and being a better cook against myself.
What did you just base that on, you lying whore?
I stayed very focused. And
she watched every episode
that sort of
the day
mental
before she went
focus
blind.
was what became an advantage with my vision loss.
You didn't
This is gonna be
stop
a bad
there.
video.
You went on to open a restaurant. You've got plans to open another. Do you actually work in the kitchen?
So for me, it's my menu. I teach my staff how to cook the dishes, but for service, you know, if any of you have ever been in a commercial kitchen or seen a commercial kitchen, it can get pretty crazy during a very busy dinner service. There's hot things flying around, hot oil.
That's because all of you want to do things your own
everywhere.
way. Whoa,
So
slow down. If your commercial kitchen runs like that, you shouldn't be running a commercial kitchen. You're doing it wrong because you're fucking stupid. Blind has nothing to do with it. And the third woman there, but was going to make comments about the gas cylinders. That's not something she can change.
Graduated. Me and my best friend Matt, we basically only listened to Sam Smith. Like these, what's the Stay With Me song? Like just
5 different cards in all. Each features a famous breed of dog. Each picture is new, and you can get them only with delicious Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice. There are popular dogs you all know and recognize, like Cocker Spaniel, Dachshund, and Collie. There are dogs like Saluki, the royal dog of Egypt.
The Internet of
or
Things,
the
you go buy your cereal, and there's a card in it.
red-footed underwater swimming dog that hunts the fighting otter. What's more, each of these 35 dogs are real dogs, many champions of their breed. And listen to this. Best of all, you get an exciting trading card of Yukon King. It's authentic, magnificent in full color. Yes, King himself, the greatest husky in the North Country. And on the back of every card, Sergeant Preston tells you what the dog is like. Whether he's a sporting dog like Irish or a working breed like Shetland Sheepdog, or whether the dog is a good watchdog or learns tricks easily. Don't wait to start collecting these official dog picture cards. Here's all you do. Buy Quaker puffed wheat or Quaker puffed rice at your grocery. You'll find not one, but 2 cards inside each package. They're yours at no extra cost. And think of it. No waiting, no delay, nothing to send in. No money, box tops, or coupons. Mind you, these cards come only in packages of wheat or rice shot from guns. 2 different ones in each package. Hurry! Tomorrow get both delicious cards. Quaker puffed wheat and Quaker puffed rice. That way you'll have 4 cards right off the bat. That's how easy it is to collect them. So save them, swap them. Stop.
Damn it.
Can also be accessible and easy to eat for someone with a vision impairment.
Pyle, what about you? Have you always felt comfortable eating out?
It's very uncomfortable, at least initially, because there are things that you would probably use a fork and knife or something that I could do so easily at one point in time suddenly became a challenge. Like the think of eating noodles with a fork, believe me, I was so afraid. My noodles would definitely, they'd be hanging onto the place, and I'd drip curry onto my chin and onto my clothes, and I was petrified. But then I had a bunch of friends who said, forget it, it doesn't matter. If we have to make a spectacle of ourselves, let's make it count. So let's just go and do it.
Simon, have you felt the same, eating out?
Oh, I have still yet to master the knife and fork. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So from the very start, what I did was I got some enamel bowls with high sides, and I took that into my local restaurant where I used to eat quite regularly. Unbeknown to myself, it became known as Simon's dog bowl. One of the girls let it slip one day, and she was so embarrassed. I could feel the heat from about 4 feet away. But I use what I call a dog bowl now, because the high side stops the food from flying all over the table. And my local restaurant, they're quite used to me, and they're great.
You've had to adjust.
Mm.
But are there any ways that losing your vision has changed your relationship with food for the better?
Yeah, it's a bit like my sailing, the experience.
Can someone explain why them takeout containers? I can show you right here what I'm talking about. See, this is the container, and then the thin part's the lid. So how come the styrofoam ones, the lid is the whole, like, why, what purpose does the lid serve being so fucking tall? You can't fill it with food. While we're criticizing restaurants and restaurateurs and cooks and business people.
Or texture or temperature, I pay much more attention to that. And I think my palate has become more refined. So I definitely have become a better cook.
I agree. It has made a lot of difference to me as well, because I have a greater appreciation for the ingredients that I use and what goes into it and how it goes into it. I still remember the texture, the freshness of the beans when I cut them for the first time. I don't think I had ever had time to even notice the smell of the beans and the moisture of the vegetable when you cut it. And it had come out of the refrigerator. So when I had a bowl full of cut beans, I put both my hands into it and I held them, and I actually had tears in my eyes, because that whole experience was surreal, because I had never, ever paid that much attention to a small, mundane, everyday task of cutting beans. It was so fabulous. I don't think that's an experience I'm about to forget quickly enough.
That's the other thing. Everybody wants to be a DJ.
Watching the appointments fill up.
But you all have horrible taste in music.
How late is it going to be? So within minutes of that announcement, the earliest I could get was May 15th, 17th rather. And that just goes to show people want this. And I'm so excited. And at the same time, I don't think I'll really feel the relief until I'm there. But it was, I don't know, a little flash of that light at the end of the tunnel was very real for me today.
From the Ukraine? You're getting a vaccination shot.
It's The Shift with Shane Hewitt.
Participate in it or not. And I think that you kind of at some point have to stop feeling sorry for yourself and pick yourself up. You just have to celebrate all of the small victories, whether it's learning how to make a sandwich again, or then learning how to cut a fruit, and then learning how to turn on the stove, make instant noodles, fry an egg, and the next thing you know, whether it's a month down the line, a year, or 5 years, you'll be able to cook an entire Thanksgiving meal just fine.
Your taste in music sucks. Instant noodles. You cut open one end of the pack and put in water. There's literally nothing else to it. I got a question for you though. How do you eat peanut butter out of the jar with a spoon if you're blind? No, but you can't see how much is on the spoon.
Absolute delight to be on the program with you two. And can I say, losing my sight at 60 with a lifetime experience behind me is one thing. Losing your sight in the 20s, I take my hat off to you. I really do.
Do let us know what you think about the show. You can email.
So your immune system can attack your nervous system. I think that's what's happening because my immune system's not weak. It's exceptionally strong, and my nervous system's under attack from something. Anything that...
Just to remind you that nominations are still open for our Global Youth Food Champion Award. We're looking for people between the ages of 18 and 30 who are changing the way we...
And are convincing people to switch to vegan because that's better somehow because it makes me feel bad that you're eating what you've always eaten. Oh, thanks.
And the rest of the team, Sarah Stollarts and Simon Schulet. Thanks for listening and join us again next week.
If I get aspartame or any of those in my system, all that shit, there's something going on. My nervous system's on. It makes the trigeminal pain happen.
Watching for the racing teams to appear.
They should be coming in any time now. I'm betting on the girl. She's got a team of dogs no one can beat.
328 or visit shedthedebt.ca.
Elevators. They're not something we give much thought to, but when they're not operating correctly, it can cause serious disruptions. That's why CEE Elevator will set up a maintenance program to minimize or eliminate unnecessary downtime. During these pandemic times, your elevator needs to operate efficiently. With 24/7 service, CEE Elevator has offered the best customer service in the business for over 40 years now. Get a free quote at 905-428-8300 or visit ceeelevator.com.
If you're driving less these days, I've got good news and bad news. Good news, you're saving on gas. Bad news, a vehicle that sits may develop issues. Good news, the All-In Spring event has you covered. Receive a free seasonal tire changeover and brake inspection with the purchase of Peace of Mind maintenance service. Plus, get $20 off Mopar or Magneti Marelli brakes when you sign up for Mopar exclusives. And buy 3 tires, get the 4th free. See your Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealers.
You see how stupid people are. Buy 3 tires, get the 4th free. Really? Shouldn't it be 4, get the 5th free? If you're going to play games with that, shouldn't it be 4 and get the 5th free or something? Folks, even the math doesn't add up. You're getting 33% bonus. So it doesn't add up right. And the only thing that's going to happen to your car if you leave it sitting is if you're dumb and you go and idle the engine over and over thinking you're helping it. Or if you don't, anytime you start it up, you have to get it up to highway speed for an hour before you shut it off again. Or you'll have acid eat up your whole engine. Water and shit.
Students headed home, book bags and shoes left piled along the road. One eyewitness saying there were a lot of casualties, most of them girls, and bodies were everywhere. Once again, hospitals in the capital, Kabul, overrun with patients. The Interior Ministry blaming the Taliban, but the militants denying they carried out the attack.
The bombing apparently aimed to cause maximum civilian carnage, adds to fears that violence in the war-ravaged country could escalate as the U.S. and NATO and nearly 20 years of military engagement. A Canadian government researcher says a wildflower has brought a little yellow bird back from the brink of extinction in British Columbia's Okanagan region.
Christine Bishop is a researcher with Environment and Climate Change Canada, and she says BC is home to about 250 pairs of the endangered yellow-breasted chat, which was almost wiped out in one corner of the southern Okanagan Valley. Now, she says, thanks to a long-running experiment that protected their preferred habitat, prickly wild rose bushes along shorelines, there has been a bump in the population. In fact, she says in the area around Penticton, the population has grown from just 1 pair to 22 over the last 20 years. Rob Westgate, the Canadian Press.
The operator of a pipeline that transports fuel across the U.S. East Coast says it's the victim of a ransomware attack.
Colonial Pipeline did not say what was demanded or by whom, but ransomware attacks typically involve criminal hackers who seize data and demand a large payment to release it. The company's temporarily halted all pipeline operations. Colonial Pipeline transports gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and home heating oil from refineries primarily located on the Gulf Coast to pipelines running from Texas to New Jersey. Roughly 45% of all fuel consumed on the East Coast. The White House says President Biden has been briefed on the situation, and the federal government is working with state and local authorities to mitigate any potential supply issues. Ben Thomas, Washington.
They
the vaccination drive across the U.S. is losing steam. Reporter Cheryl Alt has more.
America's daily vaccination rate falling below 2 million shots for the first time since March.
To think,
States are now turning down hundreds of thousands of doses. Kansas and Wisconsin are both asking for less than 10% of what the federal government's scheduled for them next week. Now officials are hoping Pfizer's request for full FDA approval, combined with the expected authorization to give the shot to 12 to 15-year-olds, could boost confidence among young people, who now make up the majority of hospitalized patients.
More than 150 million Americans, about 57% of the adult population, have received at least 1 dose of the COVID vaccine. In sports, the Vancouver Canucks fall 4-3 to the Edmonton Oilers on a night when Oilers forward Connor McDavid achieves a season benchmark. He reached 100 points this season with a goal and 3 assists in his 53rd game. Canucks head coach Travis Green says McDavid is different.
So why would you give it to them?
They're under arrest.
If they're more likely to die from the vaccine or have a horrible side effect from it than they are to get that from COVID, why would you give it to them? Damn, my voice sounds fucking too deep.